Hey, how's it going? In the post-apocalyptic world, Juliet drives through a desolate land, searching for anything that can help her survive. Upon finding a bunch of abandoned vehicles, she inspects each car, even checking the gas tanks, but unfortunately, she finds nothing useful. After gazing at the sea for a while, she continues driving and eventually stops at a gas station. With a gun in hand, she examines all the shelves for food, but without success. Suddenly, the roof starts to tremble, and a monster growls, known in this world as a reaper. Being a nocturnal and extremely violent creature, Juliet immediately retreats and returns to her car. She then drives and contacts her friend named Harry, who is part of a group of survivors. Juliet informs him that she couldn't find supplies on the search and was heading back. As the radio battery was drained, she was going to take a shortcut to return to the base faster. Shortly after, she stops the car upon spotting an abandoned trailer and takes a closer look. Inside, she finds a severely injured man, and she threatens him with a gun to reveal the wound and ask where the Reaper is. The man replies that he locked it inside the trailer, and there are cans of food there too. However, he asks Juliet to end his suffering, but she needs to save bullets. If he truly wanted to die, he should leave the wound exposed. Juliet enters the trailer and fights the Reaper, making the vehicle shake in the process, and she needs 3 bullets to kill the creature. When she exits, the man is already dead, and after grabbing all the supplies she can find, Juliet returns to the road and drives while looking at a photo of a man with her. Suddenly, the wind takes the photo away, and Juliet tries to grab it. She ends up losing control, veering off the road, and flipping several times, causing her to hit her head and leaving the car upside down. Juliet faints and dreams of a life before the apocalypse. On a rainy day, she visited an art gallery but couldn't understand the paintings. The gallery owner, Jack, the same man from the photo, approached her, realizing she knew nothing about art. Juliet admitted she entered to escape the rain and get free food. Jack found it amusing and shared a drink with her, explaining how to find beauty in paintings. They were starting to understand each other. Back in the present, Juliet wakes up to discover her leg is fractured and stuck in the seat. It's dark outside, meaning the Reapers will be taking over the night soon, and she can't defend herself because her gun fell out of the car. Juliet tries to move her leg, but it's too painful, so she attempts to use the radio, but it's also not working. Using a piece of wood and wire, Juliet reaches for the gun and manages to move it a bit, but unfortunately, the tool breaks before she can retrieve the weapon. Then another flashback begins, showing how Jack left the gallery to get food for the girl. She agreed to go to his apartment and was shocked to see how beautiful and expensive everything was. She also found his drawings, showcasing great artistic skill with nude women. While having expensive wine and cheese, Jack shared his family drama and how he dealt with the inheritance left for him. Juliet explained that she had no family but found it hard to open up, and Jack's questions made her uncomfortable to the point that he didn't even know her name, and the girl decided to leave. In the present, Juliet decides to endure the pain. She made a tourniquet, cleaned the wound with alcohol, and then painfully pushed the bone back into place. Another pre-apocalypse memory is that Juliet went to a bar with a random man. She noticed that Jack was also in that bar but ignored him. When Juliet left with the guy, Jack followed her, discovering that the man was paying Juliet in exchange for some substances, realizing that the girl was actually trafficking drugs. The guy also tried to kiss her, but Juliet angrily refused. Jack continued to follow Juliet on the train and eventually reached a very suspicious neighborhood. Juliet bought more substances from a guy, confirming that she was indeed trafficking drugs. At that moment, Jack revealed himself to the girl, so she allowed him and called him to her building, where she had to pay another dealer before she could enter her apartment. Jack realized how difficult the girl's situation was and offered help, but Juliet exploded in anger, saying it wasn't a charity case and she didn't want anything from him. She tried to kick him out, but Jack refused to leave, so Juliet grabbed a syringe to show that she was also addicted to heroin, and this made Jack sadly leave the girl's apartment. Back in the present, Juliet manages to make an improvised sling with car items, then works to fix the radio, but unfortunately, no one responds to her call. Then, at that moment, she hears a Reaper approaching, so she quickly crawls out, grabs the gun, and hides in the car, remaining quiet as the Reaper wanders very close to the vehicle. Suddenly, the radio turns on, and Harry's voice calls out to her, and the Reaper hears and approaches again. So, Juliet has no choice but to throw the radio out of the car, and the creature finds it. But when Juliet finds the radio, Harry's voice calls from the car, and as she is about to enter, there was a noise in the distance, and it backs away again. Juliet then reloads the gun while going through another memory. One night, Juliet got into a fight and went to Jack's apartment, seeking help. Jack didn't judge her or ask questions, just took care of her gently that day. He healed her wounds and let her rest. The next morning, they had coffee together, and Juliet asked if she could go for a walk. Jack realized that she actually needed a fix, so offended, Juliet tried to leave, but Jack didn't let her and locked the door. When Jack said he wouldn't let her out until she was clean, Juliet got furious and started breaking Jack's things while yelling. Jack did nothing, just waited for the right moment, then hugged Juliet, comforting her with a kiss, showing that he would be by her side to leave that life. Back in the van, Juliet tricks. She finds some glow sticks and throws them out to see if the Reapers are nearby, and she sees nothing. So she goes out, retrieves the radio, and suddenly there's a strange noise and she gets tense. Then she starts throwing the glow sticks in various directions until she finds a Reaper. However, it's right on top of the car. Juliet hits it immediately. Back to the car, where she waits for a monster to appear, but the Reaper surprises her from behind, pulling the window cover and terrorizing the girl who tries to move. The Reaper grabs her leg, and she starts the car and accelerates, so the creature lets go of her. She keeps pointing the gun, and suddenly the creature passes again in front of the car, but once again surprises Juliet by appearing behind her, giving her a big scare. She shoots the Reaper, who goes away. Not dead, just injured. After getting rid of the Reaper, Juliet tries to fix her radio with hands trembling with fear, and there's nothing else she can use to calm down. Now in the past, showing that Jack and Juliet became a couple, moved to a new house together, and Juliet was very nervous during the move. Jack touched her face to make her smile, explaining that this gesture was an affectionate way for her to calm down. Then he guided her through the house and mentioned one of the rooms for future children, which left Juliet a bit worried as she hadn't imagined this in her life yet and still didn't really know her feelings for Jack. However, in the present, Juliet fixed the radio and contacted Harry. Although she couldn't hear him well, she told him what happened and asked for help, saying that she was surrounded by Reapers. And after Harry said something about the lighthouse, the connection was lost. Juliet searches the car and finds a box with a lighthouse. So now she'll have to read the manual to activate it. While working, she thinks about the day she found out she was pregnant. The couple was very happy to see the positive result on the test, but unfortunately, 9 months later, the baby died during childbirth, and the couple had to go back to the empty baby's room and cry for this tragedy. Now in the present, Juliet manages to make the lighthouse work. Then she creates a barricade on the windows just in time for the Reaper to return. It appears in front of the car, and she sees, passing through the windshield, showing to be a gruesome creature. The Reaper moves to the window and tries to push the cover. Then Juliet pushes it with her feet. The Reaper starts pounding on the car, and right at this moment, Juliet receives a call that tells her they will save her soon and reminds her to use light because Reapers can't stand bright light. Juliet knows this, but her flashlight is broken, and suddenly she hears a noise and finds out that the creature broke the windshield, so now it's coming from the darkness of the night right in front of her, eager to attack Juliet. But the girl was smarter. She turned on the high beams on time, and the brightness scared the creature, seemingly causing some burning effect. After that, Juliet called Harry, but there was more news. They wouldn't rescue her until dawn because it was extremely dangerous, as these creatures are relentless and attack anyone in their path. This left Juliet extremely furious, but those were the rules, and they couldn't do anything about it. So now she had another memory. Since the loss of the baby, things were tense between the couple. One day, Juliet simply disappeared, and Jack managed to find her. In the car, they had an argument, and it was there that Juliet admitted that she really didn't want to have a child, and it was Jack who pressured her to do so. Furious, Jack got out of the car, intending to catch a subway, and another argument ensued. But this time, he blamed her addiction for the baby's death and ended the relationship, leaving at that moment. In the present now, Juliet hears a nearby engine and starts honking to get attention. Two men on a motorcycle stop next to the car, and one of them enters, saying he will help. But he's actually a looter, as there are many in this post-apocalyptic world, and he wants to kill her. So Juliet fights to stop him, but the Reaper appears, drags the guy out, and crushes his skull just by stepping on it. The other one runs, and Juliet watches the Reaper feed on the dead body. In the past, Juliet went to a bar to get drunk and ignored all calls. She kept receiving calls from Jack. At that moment, she saw on TV that there was a chemical attack at the subway station that killed more than 30 people. Next, she received a call saying that Jack was injured during this attack and went to the hospital. Back in the van, she grabs the gun and considers giving up. However, her memories continue, and when she arrived at the hospital, she found out that Jack could no longer speak because he had a new virus that took away that condition. But he still communicated, and he touched her face with the same special gesture he always did, and then told her he loved her, writing it on a board. For the first time, Juliet responded that she loved him too, and Jack made her promise never to give up. This made Juliet, in the present, lower her gun, determined to keep the promise. Juliet grabs a flare, 2 more gasoline containers, and exits the car. Next, she lights the flare, waving it to attract the Reaper's attention, and when the creature starts to approach her, Juliet walks backward. She waits for the Reaper to reach the gasoline container and shoots it, causing an explosion. However, the Reaper doesn't die and escapes in time, and Juliet looks around to find it, but the creature seems right behind her and makes her drop her gun. Terrified, Juliet pushes the creature's emaciated arms away and returns to the car, but the Reaper grabs her leg, exactly at the wound that is bleeding. While Juliet desperately reaches for her gun, the Reaper pulls her out of the car and throws her to the ground. Then, she shoots the creature twice, making it fall to the ground, thinking she had killed a monster since it stopped moving. Juliet cries and remembers the day she returned to the hospital. She found out they had taken Jack away because he was contaminated by something unknown, giving her an emotional breakdown. But now it has finally dawned, and the Reaper didn't die because it was extremely resistant, and it starts to move again, but Juliet is now out of bullets. Slowly, the creature climbs over her, but instead of attacking her, it gently touches her face, making her realize it was the same affectionate gesture as Jack's. She becomes extremely frightened, and a memory comes from the day they met, where Jack talked about destiny that unites people in the most complicated and diverse ways, and to prove their connection interest closed his own art exhibition gallery, sending guests and even buyers away just to go out with her. Juliet then hugs Jack, while finally telling him that she loves him, and the virus turned him into a horrendous, flesh-eating creature. However, as she loads a bullet into the gun, she presses her head against his to end things together and move on to the afterlife. Thus concludes After the Apocalypse, a 2017 science fiction and drama film. If possible, leave your like and subscribe. Thank you. And I'll see you in the next video.